So I want to talk about my abuse. And I want to say again that I don't like the approach that there is an abuser and there's a victim. You both are sort of both if you stay together. If you have like an unspoken agreement, if you are abused and you stay. As an adult, I'm talking about, as an adult. So I've got an orange, it's a hint. And this orange is not for Holland. It is for Shiva, it's for yoga. It's a divine color in yoga, in Hinduism. So I went from Dutch orange to Dutch Shiva to Dutch yoga, which really is important for me because, you know, when somebody is abusing you physically, you feel like your body is not yours and you really need to heal. And yoga is healing because it connects you to it's a connection between body and mind. You know, the spiritual and the material. It's very, very important to a person who's been abused to have some form of physical activity, mind-body kind of thing. So I was married to a man from Holland. He took over my life. Everything was about him. He was narcissistic. And I cooperated with it because it felt familiar. As I said, I come from a similar background in abuse, not in culture. And I just want to mention that all these people that post on abuse, if you're an adult woman and you stay one day after you're being slapped, you are becoming part of the problem. And once somebody told me that I would be like the abuser, I would be aggressive, I would be an abusive person myself, I knew I had to leave. It was difficult because there was financial abuse involved and I was in a foreign country. So I don't understand people who live like next to their families, who they think are really nice and helpful. If your family doesn't help you get out of it, they're not really helpful. So a lot of people live in denial about the family background, like why they are in an abusive relationship. There's a lot of denial and bullshit. And it's really hard for me to listen to these stories. And always about, he did this, but why did you stay? You're victim, you're blaming the victim. I'm not blaming the victim, I'm questioning why an adult person chooses to be in an abusive relationship. You're not living in Saudi Arabia, you're not living in Iran, you're not a 14-year-old bride. Why does an educated woman choose to be in an abusive relationship? And the answer is very clear for me. You come from that background, you've been abused in some level. Otherwise, there's no way you would stay. You think it's normal to be in such a situation. Otherwise, there's no way you would stay. A person who grew up in an environment that encourages them to be their best self, that is kind, that is loving. There's no way this person would ever stay 1 second after being abused, after being hit, because they know they don't deserve it. But if you stay, and I'm talking about for years, and I'm talking about having kids together, it's because it feels normal to you, because you grew up like that. Even if it's not the same type of abuse, you grew up being abused on some level. And that's what I say to myself as well. And it's why it's so tricky and so difficult to get out of an abusive relationship, because it feels familiar, and probably your family thinks it's normal too. Like, my mother didn't think it's wrong. Like, she would say, oh, it's bad, but why leave him? He's the father of your children. Why leave him? Because I don't like being hit. She didn't think there was anything wrong with me being hit. And that's, for me, crazy. She's not alive. But every time I try to talk to her about anything like that, she would just, like, ignore it and, like, say crazy things. My mother wasn't on a level mentally disturbed, unbalanced, even though she was very similar to my ex-husband. She looked really functioning, very normal, but at home she was like a monster. She would be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And this is how I grew up. A mother that is like the most elegant, amazing, functioning teacher, and then at home